Now, I hope you can hear me. I'm not sure if I'm live yet. I'm hugely apologetic that the quiz is a bit late this evening. Unfortunately, I had some technical difficulties. So, and the reality of it is, at the moment, I'd say we all are. So I hope you're really well. It's Biodiversity Week and we have a special biodiversity quiz for you. So just give me 2 minutes and again to do this and let us begin. And there's some information here that if you are exercising, if you're out along the coast within your government COVID-19 guidelines over the next week, you can record any marine species you find and submit them at exploreyourshore.ie for your chance to win some prizes, which is a special event on for Biodiversity Week. So let's get to it. We have 5 rounds as usual, 8 questions per round, and we'll crack on. So the round 1, guess the ocean animal. So what do you think this is? The clue here is that the animal has 3 hearts and blue blood. And if you've been doing the quiz regularly, you may know that. Question 2. What do you think this is? It's quite common. And the hint here is that these animals have a hard outer skin or an exoskeleton, which doesn't expand. So when the animal grows, they have to shed their exoskeleton and produce a new one each time they grow. Okay. Question 3. What do you think this is? So the clue here is they're a patient hunter. They wait by the edge of the water and wait really still until the time is right. Question 4. What do you think this is? Now, I'd say most of us are quite familiar with this. They've distinct markings on their scales. They're beautiful fish. And in autumn and winter, they're in deeper waters and then closer to the shore during the spring. Okay, question 5. What about this? They're known as the flowers of the sea. And did you know that they've stinging tentacles to catch their prey, but it's not harmful to us? Okay. Question 6. What do you think this is? They feed on fish. They can have a lot of fish. They don't have gills, so they have to hold their breath underwater. And they can hold their breath for about 30 minutes if they're diving. Alrighty. Question 7. What about this? And this is probably familiar to most of us. It's actually a colony of tiny, huge numbers of tiny small animals. It makes this up. And they can be found in shallow waters of all oceans. But we usually associate them with warmer climates. But they are in Ireland too. Or in Irish waters too, I should say. Okay, question 8, final question of round 1. What do you think this is? This animal can only be found on the Galapagos Islands. They feed on seaweed. They're almost like an out of world kind of creature. They feed on seaweed and can dive underwater to a depth of about 20 meters, which is fairly impressive. Okay, so how did you do? As usual, we will recap on the questions in each round at the end of the following round. So you'll get a chance to have a look at the images again and just to see if you need some time a bit later. So I hope you did well. We're going to go on now to round 2, which I'm going to be honest with you, isn't a pleasant round. The facts here are pretty hard-hitting, and we'll just crack on. So according to the UN, what percentage of the world's marine fish stocks are now fully exploited? And that basically means that the stocks are either fully fished or overfished. Is it 50%, 70%, or 90%? So how much have we fished our sea stocks? Okay. Question 2. In Ireland, which of the following species are at risk of being lost? Is it the Atlantic salmon, the grey seal, or the bottlenose dolphin? What do you reckon? Okay, we'll move on to it. Question 3. The IPCC in 2018 released a landmark report on the impacts of climate change and what those impacts will have on society and the environment. What percentage of the coral reef will be lost if we hit a 2 degrees Celsius increase in warming due to climate change? So will we lose, with 2 degree increase in climate change, or in warming, will we lose 59% of coral reefs? Will we lose 79%? Or will we lose 99%? I did warn you, this is a bit of a grim round. And I imagine that everybody who is taking part in these quizzes and who has an interest has a huge interest in the health of our world, our oceans, everything. But sometimes the facts are so hard, but there's so much work and so many people trying to do work to help it. Okay. Question 4. Last year in 2019, the EPA released a report on the water quality on Ireland's rivers and lakes. And in that report, it stated that we had over 500 rivers with pristine water quality in the 80s. The question is, what figure is it at now? So basically, how many rivers and lakes in Ireland currently have pristine water quality? Is it 20? Is it 70? Or is it 150? Alrighty. Question 5. In 2018, NUIG conducted a study on deepwater fish in the Northwest Atlantic Ocean. And they were studying the impacts of plastics. Of the 233 fish studied, what percentage of these were found to have ingested plastic particles? Is it 63%, 73%, or 83%? Question 6. Which of the following coastal species is extinct due to human activity? Is it A, the Caribbean monk seal, B, the great auk, or C, the sea mink? Alrighty? Okay, question 7. In 2010, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill that happened in 2010 is considered one of the largest marine environmental disasters to have ever happened. The question is, where did it take place? Was it A, the Irish Sea, B, the Baltic Sea, or C, the Gulf of Mexico? Okay. Give you a minute. The final question in this round, and I promise you it gets a little bit easier after this round in terms of questions are a little bit lighter. So in this round, how many seabirds, for this question, how many seabirds are estimated to die every year due to plastic pollution? Is it 100,000? Is it B, 1 million? Or is it C, 10 million? So, how many seabirds are estimated to die every year due to plastic pollution? Okay, how did you do? We'll have a look. We'll recap on round 1 now and have a look at those answers before we move on to round 3. And as always, we will have a chance to recap on round 2 at the end of round 3. Okay? So recap the questions in round 1. What animals were they? I'll give you a little bit of time to have a look. 1 to 4. And the next group. Alrighty. Ready for the answers? 1 is, of course, an octopus. 2, I got the most people got it, is the lobster. 3 is a grey heron. And those beautiful silver fish are, of course, mackerel. 5 is an anemone. 6 is the seal. 7 is coral. And 8 is the marine iguana. Okay, how did you do? So let's start with round 3. And this is all about invasive species. So as most of you probably know, invasive species are non-native species that have been introduced to an area outside their natural range and that have the ability to threaten our native wildlife and cause damage to our environment, economy, or human health. And we have taken that from Biodiversity Ireland. So let's begin. So what you need to do here is to say which is native to Ireland and which is invasive. So we're looking for you to say A or B is invasive or native, whichever you want. You can get bonus points for guessing correctly the name or of one, or an extra point if you get both. So there's lots of points to be had in this. So basically, these are 2 oysters. One is native to Ireland, one isn't. The invasive one here is native to Japan. The problem is that it's commonly farmed in Ireland, but the oysters escape from the farms and then they become established in other places. So they're now present in all the major sea lochs in Ireland. And the problem is that it outcompetes the native oyster. So which one is native and which one is invasive? Okay. Number 2, crabs. Which one of these crabs is native to Ireland? And just to tell you that the invasive one, shown here, originates from the North Pacific and Bering Sea. Now, it has become established around Russia and Norway, and it's thriving there. It's not yet established in Ireland, but it's listed as a potential invasive species. So which one of these is native and invasive? Alrighty, number 3. What about these two? So the invasive fish here originates from the Indian Ocean. Again, it's not yet here, and hopefully we can keep it that way. But again, the problem is with with invasive species, is it will outcompete native species here and pose a threat because it's venomous. So it can thrive more because of that. Okay, number 4, limpets. Now, this might be really obvious because we're so used to seeing one of these limpets here. So which one is the native in limpet here? And the invasive limpet here, the problem with this is it drastically alters the seabed because it basically survives and thrives better than anything else. And in particular, can push out oyster beds and take them over, so they're a serious threat to those. Okay, number 5, shrimp. Which one of these shrimp is native to Ireland and which one is invasive? And you can take a guess. One might absolutely look quite common to you, so I would imagine that's the one that's native, or the one that's native. Okay, number 6, seaweed. Which of these do you think is native? The invasive one shown here, by the way, is Japanese. And there's extra information if you want to have a read on that. Okay, next one. Sea squirts. So one of these is native, one of these is invasive. And what it's telling us here is that in Ireland it can interfere with fishing, aquaculture, and other offshore activities. And it's really important. I mean, we've seen it with the zebra mussel and, you know, a lot of invasive species here that are doing some damage. It's really important to clean boats when you're moving them from one area to another to prevent the spread. Okay, number 8. What about these lobsters? Which one do you think is native and which one do you think is invasive? Alrighty. So again, as usual, we'll have a look at those images at the end of the next round before I give you the answers, so you You will get a chance to have a recap. Okay, the grim round. Round 2, we're going to recap the questions. 1, according to the UN, what percentage of the world's marine fish stocks are now fully exploited? Is it 50%, 70%, or 90%? Question 2, which of the following species are at risk of being lost in Ireland? Is it the Atlantic salmon, grey seal, or the bottlenose dolphin? Number 3, what percentage of the coral reef will be lost if we hit a 2 °C increase in warming due to climate change? Is it 59%, 79%, or 99%? Question 4, how many of Ireland's rivers have pristine water quality now, as of 2019? Is it 20, 70, or 150? Question 5, NUIG studied deepwater fish in 2018 to look at the impacts of plastics in the Northwest Atlantic Ocean. What percentage of the 233 fish studied were found to have ingested plastic particles? Was it 63, 73, or 83%? Number 6, which of the following coastal species is extinct due to human activity? Is it A, the Caribbean monk seal, B, the great auk, or C, sea mink? Number 7, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010 is considered one of the largest marine environmental disasters to ever have happened. Where did it take place? Is it A, the Irish Sea, B, the Baltic Sea, or C, the Gulf of Mexico? And finally, in this round, number 8, how many seabirds are estimated to die every year due to plastic pollution? Is it A, 100,000, B, 1 million, or C, 10 million? And the answers are, the answer to 1 is C, 90% of the world's marine fish stocks are now fully exploited. 2, the answer is A, the Atlantic salmon is the species we are at risk of losing in Ireland. C, for 3, 99% of the coral reef will be lost if we hit a 2 increase in warming. If we hit a 1.5 °C increase, we're looking at losing about 90% of our coral reef. Number 4 is A, 20% of rivers in Ireland now have pristine water quality. And that's compared to 500 about 25 years ago. Number 5, the answer is B, 73% of the 233 deepwater fish studied were found to have ingested plastic particles. 6, the answer is A, B, and C. All are extinct now due to human activity. Question 7. It happened in the Gulf of Mexico. So the answer is C. And number 8 is B. Roughly an estimate of 1 million seabirds are estimated to die of plastic pollution each year. I did warn you, it is grim. Okay, round 4, true or false? True or false? Seabirds can drink salt water or seawater and they can cope with high salinity. So what do you think? Number 2, manatees are more closely related to dolphins than they are to elephants. Is that true or false? Number 3, orcas can make the loudest sound compared to any other animal on the planet. True or false? Number 4, jellyfish have been on the planet longer than sharks and dinosaurs. True or false? Number 5, a shrimp's heart is located in their tail end. Number 6, oysters can change from one gender to another and back again, depending on what is best for mating. Okay. Number 7, great white sharks can jump up to 10 feet in the air to catch their prey. Okay. And number 8, think about this. Turtles live on every continent. Is that true or false? So is it true or false that turtles live on every continent? Okay, I'm going to recap on round 3. So I'm just going to leave the images up for a few seconds so you can have a chance to recap. And the next group of 4. Okay, so how did you get on with those? Okay, so answers are... Okay, the first one is A. So basically, the native species are there in green. So it's the European oyster. The native in number 2 is B, the spider crab. I'd say a lot of you got that right. It's quite familiar. For 3, the native is the conger eel. 4, the native is the common limpet, which I'm sure most of you got. 5, the native here is the rockpool shrimp. For 6, it's B, it's the bladder wrack, which is really common. 7, the native is the light bulb sea squirt, that's A. And I'm sure most of you got 8, it was of course B, which is the European lobster, which is much more beautiful than the American lobster, in my opinion. So how did you do? So we'll go on now to the picture round. We'll end on a bit more of a lifted round, and it's the picture puzzle round. So you know the drill. Say exactly what you see. What are the animals describing in this picture? That's just an example here. So number 1, what do you think it is? And just say exactly what you see. Okay. Number 2, what do you think this is? Okay, number 3. And again, say exactly what you see. Okay, number 4. What do you think it is? And again, sometimes the harder you think about it, the harder it is if you just think, look exactly what it is. Okay, number 5. What do you think this is? Number 6. What about this one? Okay. Number 7. What animal is being shown here? Okay. Number 8. Last one. Okay. So again, we'll recap in a couple of moments. I hope you did well. And we're going to have a look at round 4 again. Recap and then give you the answers. So this was the true or false round. So the first one was seabirds can drink salt water and can cope with high salinity. True or false? Number 2, true or false, manatees are more closely related to dolphins than they are to elephants. 3, is it true or false that orcas make the loudest sound compared to any other animal on the planet? Is it true or false for 4 that jellyfish have been on the planet longer than sharks and dinosaurs? Number 5, is it true or false that a shrimp's heart is located in their tail end? Number 6, oysters can change from one gender to another and back again depending on what is best for mating. Is that true or false? Number 7, true or false, great white sharks can jump up to 10 feet in the air to catch their prey. And finally, number 8, is it true or false that turtles live on every continent? And the answers are, number 1, it's true. The salt that seabirds take in is absorbed and moved through their bloodstream into a pair of salt glands where it is excreted from the nostrils. Number 2, manatees are actually more closely related to elephants than any marine animal or mammal. 3, it's not the orca, it's false. Blue whales make the loudest sound. Number 4 is true, jellyfish have been on the planet for 650 million years. Number 5 is false. A shrimp's heart is located in their head. Number 6 is true. Oysters can switch genders to suit mating requirements. Number 7 is true. Great white sharks can propel themselves to jump great heights in their pursuit for prey. And finally, number 8 is false. Turtles live on every continent except Antarctica. So I hope you did well. And again, this whole quiz is not about getting everything right. We're trying to bring some of the marine life to you while in lockdown, and also to use as a tool for learning some things. So finally, let's recap on the picture round, round 5. I'll leave the images up for a few moments. Okay, and the next 4. Okay, and let's have a look at the answers. 1 was, of course, a parrotfish. 2 is the anglerfish. 3 is the thornback ray. 4 is the sea star. 5 is the leopard seal. 6 is the limpet. I think that's tough. 6 is the limpet. 7 is the hammerhead shark. And 8 is the bull shark. So that brings us to the end of this week's quiz. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a great week. And if there's any biodiversity online, virtual, or look at the biodiversity in your 5K, you know, there's so much in Ireland that we have so much positivity in our biodiversity, as well as the challenges that we've pointed out this evening as well. So stay safe. Thank you. Take care. We'll see you next week.